What if the woman everyone called a beggar turned out to be the mother of Nigeria's richest man? What if the shop girl fired for showing her kindness became the one thing standing between a billionaire's heart and his family's pride? Sometimes destiny doesn't knock politely. Sometimes it walks in wearing torn slippers and tests your soul when no one is watching. This is Elmarum Stories, where African folktales meet real-life lessons that will change how you see the world. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Your support keeps these stories alive. Now, let's begin. The afternoon sun beat down on Lekki Phase 1 as Amira Adams wiped down the glass counters at Royal Elegance Boutique for the third time that day. Her fingers ached. Her back ached. But she dared not complain. Not when Mrs. Kafaya, the manager, watched her like a hawk circling wounded prey. Amira. Mrs. Kafaya's voice cut through the air-conditioned silence. Those shelves won't arrange themselves. Or are you waiting for your prince to come do it for you? The other staff, Bisola and Chinanai, giggled behind their manicured hands. They always did. Amira had learned to smile through the mockery, to let their words slide off her like water off oilcloth. She was 23, alone in Lagos, and this job was all that stood between her and the streets of Yaba, where she rented a single room with a leaking roof. Yes, Ma, Amira whispered, hurrying toward the designer handbag display. She had been working at Royal Elegance for 8 months. 8 months of being the first to arrive and the last to leave. 8 months of watching Bisola and Chinanai steal her clients. Claiming credit for sales Amira had worked hours to close. 8 months of silence, because speaking up meant losing everything. But Amira had learned something her late grandmother once taught her in their village in Osun State. Inian to ba and I Saru. Iabi ega patience will lift you high. So she endured. She smiled. She worked. The boutique doors swung open, and a figure stepped inside. Amira looked up from the handbags and froze. An elderly woman stood in the entrance. Her wrapper faded to the color of old clay, her head tie loose and frayed at the edges. She wore simple rubber sandals, the kind sold for 200 naira at Oshodi Market. Her face was kind, wrinkled like river stones, and her eyes held something Amira couldn't quite name. Wisdom, perhaps, or mischief. Bisola's laughter erupted first. Ah, Mama, did you miss your way? This is not Balagan Market-o. Chinanai joined in, her voice dripping with contempt. Madam, we sell Gucci here, not second-hand clothes. Please, the door is behind you. The elderly woman smiled softly, unbothered. She walked deeper into the boutique, her sandals slapping gently against the marble floor. Mrs. Kafaya emerged from her office, took one look at the visitor, and her face twisted with disgust. Security. Who let this woman inside? But something in Amira's chest stirred, a feeling she couldn't ignore. While her colleagues laughed and whispered, Amira stepped forward. Good afternoon, Ma, Amira said gently, offering a small bow of respect. Welcome to Royal Elegance. How may I help you today? The woman's eyes lit up. Ah, my daughter. You have a good heart. I can see it. Amira. Mrs. Kafaya snapped. Don't waste time on. Please, Ma. Amira interrupted softly, surprising even herself. Let me bring you some water. You must be tired from walking in this heat. She hurried to the staff room and returned with a chilled bottle of water and a clean glass. The elderly woman accepted it with both hands, her smile deepening. Thank you, my child. What is your name? Amira, Ma. Amira. The woman repeated, as if tasting the name. Beautiful. It means princess. Bisola rolled her eyes. Princess indeed. Mama, are you here to buy something or just to disturb us? The elderly woman turned toward the luxury displays. Her weathered fingers traced the fabrics, Versace, Dolce & Gabbana, Tom Ford. She selected 3 outfits, 2 handbags, and a pair of Italian heels with quiet precision. Amira's hands trembled slightly as she calculated the total. Ma, this comes to 18 million naira. The boutique fell silent. Mrs. Kafaya's eyes widened. Bisola and Chinanai exchanged glances, suddenly interested. The elderly woman nodded calmly. Yes, that is fine. Your payment method, Ma? Amira asked gently. Oh. The woman's face fell slightly. I did not bring money today. My son, he controls my account. He worries I spend too much. She smiled sadly. Can I come back tomorrow? The spell broke. Bisola exploded with laughter. I knew it. She's mad. Oh. 18 million, and she forgot her wallet. China and I clapped her hands mockingly. Mama, please go and find your son. Tell him to give you pocket money first before you come to disturb working people. Mrs. Kafaya's face turned purple with rage. She stormed forward, snatching the items from the elderly woman's hands. Out! Get out of my shop. You street beggar. You think this is Tejuosho Market where you can price and run? But Ma, Amira began. Shut up, Amira. Mrs. Kafaya whirled on her. This is why you'll never succeed. You're entertaining beggars while real customers are waiting outside. You're wasting company time on trash. The elderly woman stood motionless, her dignity intact despite the verbal assault. But Amira saw something flicker in her eyes. Not hurt, but something else. Something knowing. Mrs. Kafaya, please, Amira pleaded. She's a human being. She deserves respect. Respect. Mrs. Kafaya's voice rose to a shriek. You want to respect a mad woman who walks into a luxury boutique smelling like poverty? You know what, Amira? You're fired. Pack your things and get out. Both of you, get out of my shop. The words hit Amira like cold water. Her legs wobbled. Her vision blurred. Ma, please. I need this job. I set out. Amira's hands shook as she removed her name tag and placed it on the counter. Tears burned behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of them. The elderly woman touched Amira's arm gently. Come, my daughter. Walk with me. As they stepped out into the blazing Lagos sun, the woman turned back to Mrs. Kafaya and spoke, her voice suddenly sharp as a blade. You will remember this day, and you will regret it. Mrs. Kafaya laughed. Is that a threat, Mama Beggar? The woman smiled, a strange, mysterious smile that made Amira's skin prickle. No, my dear. It is a promise. Outside, a sleek black SUV waited at the curb, engine purring. A uniformed driver stepped out and opened the back door. The elderly woman climbed inside, then looked back at Amira standing on the pavement, jobless and bewildered. Don't worry, Amira, she said softly. Destiny has just begun. The SUV pulled away, disappearing into Lagos traffic. And Amira stood there, wondering if she had just lost everything, or if something impossible was about to begin. The SUV glided through Lagos traffic, past the gleaming towers of Victoria Island, toward the exclusive enclave of Banana Island. Inside, Mama Risi, as her household staff called her, sat in silence, her face unreadable. The driver glanced at her through the rearview mirror. Ma, are you well? What happened at the boutique? I met an angel today, Benson, she said quietly. And I watched demons try to destroy her. 20 minutes later, the SUV passed through the golden gates of the Aladil Mansion, a sprawling estate worth billions, overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. Marble fountains, manicured gardens, security personnel in crisp uniforms. Inside the mansion's study, Tate Aladil sat reviewing acquisition reports. At 32, he was Nigeria's youngest self-made billionaire, CEO of Aladil Holdings, a conglomerate spanning real estate, tech, and oil. His face was carved from stone, his eyes sharp as obsidian. People called him ruthless. They weren't wrong. Mama Risi entered without knocking. Only she had that privilege. Tate. He looked up, and his expression softened instantly. Mama, how was your outing? She sat down heavily, and for the first time, Tate noticed the anger simmering beneath her calm exterior. Tell me something, my son. When did we become the kind of people who spit on those less fortunate? Tate's jaw tightened. What happened? Mama Risi told him everything. The boutique, the laughter, the insults, and Amira, the only one who showed kindness. By the time she finished, Tate's face had turned to ice. He pressed the intercom. Colonel, my office. Now. His assistant appeared within seconds, tablet in hand. Find out everything about Royal Elegance Boutique in Lekki. Owner, manager, staff. Everything. And find the girl, Amira Adams. Bring her to me. Yes, sir. Mama Risi touched her son's hand. Tate, that girl, she has something rare. Something pure. She chose decency when it cost her everything. Tate's eyes narrowed thoughtfully, but he said nothing. Meanwhile, Amira sat on a bench outside a small roadside shop in Lekki, her handbag clutched in her lap, her mind spinning. No job. Rent due in 5 days. No savings. No family in Lagos to turn to. Her phone buzzed. A text from Bisola. Amira, the beggar helper. Hope your new madam can pay your bills now. Amira deleted it without responding. She had learned long ago that silence was the only weapon the powerless possessed. Amira Adams? She looked up. A tall man in an expensive suit stood before her, flanked by 2 security personnel. Who's asking? Her voice trembled despite her effort to sound strong. My name is Cunnel. I work for Mr. Tate Alladiel. He and his mother wish to see you. Amira's heart stuttered. Alladiel? They the billionaire? Yes. Please, come with us. You're not in trouble. But as Amira climbed into the luxury sedan, her hands wouldn't stop shaking. What could a billionaire possibly want with her? The Alladiel mansion stole Amira's breath. She had seen wealth before, in magazines, on social media, but this was different. This was power made tangible. Mama Reese met her in the grand sitting room, and Amira nearly wept with relief at seeing a familiar face. Mama. She fell to her knees in traditional Yoruba greeting. Ma, I'm so sorry for what happened. I didn't know. Stand up, my child. Mama Reese's voice was warm. You have nothing to apologize for. They should be on their knees, not you. Then Tate entered, and Amira forgot how to breathe. He was tall, commanding, dressed in a crisp white shirt rolled to his elbows. But it was his eyes that held her, calm, assessing, impossibly deep. Miss Adams, he said, his voice like velvet over steel. My mother told me what you did today. I only treated her with respect, sir. It was nothing. It was everything. Mama Reese smiled. In a world full of Mrs. Kafayas, you chose kindness. That is not nothing. Tate studied Amira carefully. Her simple dress, her worn shoes, her dignity despite having lost everything. Something shifted in his chest, something he hadn't felt in years. We want to thank you, he said. Properly. Cunnel entered carrying designer shopping bags and car keys. Amira's eyes widened. Sir, I don't understand. The outfits my mother selected. They're yours. And the car outside, a G-Wagon, also yours. Amira stumbled backward, shaking her head violently. No, sir, I can't accept. Why not? Tate's voice was genuinely curious. Because I didn't help your mother for a reward. Tears spilled down Amira's cheeks. I helped her because it was right. Because she's a human being who deserved dignity. If I take this, it makes me just like them. Like I only do good when there's something to gain. Silence fell over the room. Mama Reese's eyes glistened. She looked at Tate, and something unspoken passed between them. My son, Mama Reese said softly. I told you she was special. Tate's expression softened in a way his business rivals would never believe. Miss Adams, my mother lives alone in this big house. I live in the guest wing because of my work schedule. She gets lonely. Would you consider staying here as her companion? Not as a servant, as family. You'd have your own suite, your privacy, and my mother's company. Amira's mind reeled. Sir, I'm nobody. I'm just. You're the woman who saw my mother as a person when everyone else saw trash, Tate said quietly. That makes you somebody. Mama Reese took Amira's hands. Please, my daughter. Stay? Just for a while. Let an old woman enjoy your company. How could Amira refuse those kind eyes? Okay, she whispered. Okay, Ma. What Amira didn't know, what she couldn't know, was that outside the mansion gates, a black Range Rover idled in the shadows. Inside, a woman with flawless makeup and designer everything watched through tinted windows. Bola Martins, lifestyle influencer, 2 million Instagram followers, and the woman who had been circling Tate Alladiel like a shark for 2 years. She had received an alert from her source, a security guard she paid handsomely for information. A strange girl had entered the Alladiel estate. A nobody. A poor girl from nowhere. Bola's perfectly manicured nails drummed against the leather seat. Who is she? She hissed to herself. Her phone buzzed. Another message from her source. Asterisk, they're giving her a suite. Mama Reese is calling her daughter. Asterisk. Bola's beautiful face twisted with rage. She had spent 2 years positioning herself as Tate's woman, attending his galas, being photographed at his side, dropping hints to blogs and newspapers. The Alladiel fortune would be hers. She had worked too hard, invested too much. And now some random shop girl thought she could just walk in and take it all? Not if I destroy her first, Bola whispered. She dialed a number. Hello, Stephanie? It's Bola. Listen, I need you to publish something for me. About Tate Alladiel's new charity case. Inside the mansion, Amira stood at the window of her new suite, a room larger than her entire apartment in Yaba, and wondered if she had just walked into a dream. or a trap. The first week passed like a dream. Mama Reese treated Amira like the daughter she never had. They cooked together, laughed together, shared stories of village life and city struggles. For the first time since moving to Lagos, Amira felt safe. But safety never lasts in paradise. On the 8th day, the mansion doors burst open during breakfast. A woman stormed in, tall, stunning, dripping in Louis Vuitton and fury. Bola Martins had arrived. "Tade," she called out, her voice echoing through the halls. "Tade, where are you?" Tade emerged from his study, his face darkening. "Bola, I don't remember inviting you." "Invite?" Bola laughed sharply. "Baby, I don't need an invitation to my man's house." Her eyes landed on Amira, and her smile turned venomous. "Oh, so the rumors are true. You're keeping strays now." Mama Reese stood abruptly. "Watch your tongue in my house, child." But Bola ignored her, circling Amira like a predator. "Let me guess. Village girl? Sob story. Batted your eyelashes at the rich man, and now you're living in luxury." She leaned close, her perfume suffocating. "You think you're special? You're a charity case. A pet project. The moment Tade gets bored, you'll be back in whatever gutter he found you in." "That's enough." Tade's voice cracked like a whip. "Amira is my mother's guest. You will respect her, or you will leave." Bola's face flushed. "Your mother's guest?" "Tade, don't be naive. This girl is clearly—" I said. "Enough." Tade's eyes turned cold. "Amira is under my protection. Touch her, disrespect her again, and you'll regret it." Bola stared at him, disbelief warring with rage. Then she smiled. A terrible, calculating smile. "Fine. We'll see how long your little Cinderella lasts." She swept out, leaving poison in her wake. That night, Mama Reese sat with Amira in the garden. "My child, that woman is dangerous. She doesn't love Tade. She loves what he represents." "Mama, maybe she's right. Maybe I don't belong here." "You belong exactly where your heart is pure," Mama Reese said firmly. "Never let anyone tell you otherwise." The next morning, Tade made an unexpected offer. "Amira, I'm opening a junior administrator position at Alladiel Holdings. The job is yours if you want it." Amira's eyes widened. "Sir, I don't have a degree. You have something better. Integrity, intelligence, loyalty. Those can't be taught." His gaze held hers. "I believe in you. Do you believe in yourself?" Amira's voice trembled. "Yes. Yes, sir." Then it settled. But Alladiel Holdings was a battlefield. Within days, whispers spread like wildfire. Asterisk, she's sleeping with the boss. She's using Mama Reese to climb the ladder. Gold digger. Asterisk. Bola had planted her seeds well, spreading rumors to every gossip blog, every envious colleague. During a company meeting, Bola, attending as Tade's associate, stood and addressed the room with false concern. "Mr. Alladiel, I think we should discuss workplace ethics. Some employees seem to be receiving preferential treatment. It creates a hostile environment." Her eyes cut to Amira. Tade's jaw clenched. "Anyone spreading lies about my staff will be terminated immediately. That includes you, Bola." Humiliated before the entire company, Bola's hatred crystallized into something deadly. As weeks passed, something unexpected bloomed between Tade and Amira. He found himself seeking her opinion on projects. She made him laugh, genuinely laugh, for the first time in years. He saw her kindness toward janitors, her patience with difficult colleagues, her refusal to gossip. One evening, he found her on the mansion balcony, watching the sunset over the Atlantic. "Amira." She turned, and his breath caught. The golden light painted her face like a Renaissance portrait. "I need to tell you something," Tade said quietly. "I'm falling in love with you." Amira's eyes filled with tears. "Tade, I'm nobody. You could have anyone. I don't want anyone. I want you." He stepped closer. "You saw my mother as a person when the world saw garbage. You see me as a man, not a bank account. That's rarer than gold." "I love you too," Amira whispered. When Mama Reese learned of their relationship, she wept with joy. But the outside world erupted. Blogs screamed headlines. Asterisk, billionaire Tade Alladiel dating former shop girl. Cinderella story or calculated con. Asterisk. Bola went nuclear. She contacted newspapers, granted interviews, claimed she and Tade had been together for years, that Amira had stolen him. Mama Reese finally held a press conference, her voice ringing with authority. Bola Martins has never been part of this family. Amira Adams is the woman I see as my future daughter-in-law. Anyone who disrespects her disrespects me. Bola's world began crumbling. Desperate, she played her final card. She called Madame Augusta, Tade's biological mother, who had divorced his father years ago and lived in London. A woman of old aristocratic blood who believed in status above all else. Mrs. Aladil, Bola purred over the phone. I thought you should know. Your son is throwing away the family name for a common shop girl. Madame Augusta arrived in Nigeria like a storm. Tall, elegant, cold as January wind. She confronted Tade immediately. In this relationship, that girl is beneath us. Mama Risi chose her, Tade said quietly. And so do I. Mama Risi is a sentimental old woman. Augusta's voice rose. You need someone of breeding, education, status. I need someone who sees me. Amira does. Then you're a fool. Their relationship fractured. Madame Augusta refused to acknowledge Amira, spread her own poison through high society. Then Bola made her fatal mistake. She snuck into the mansion during a charity gala, stole Mama Risi's priceless antique coral necklace, a family heirloom worth 50 million naira, and planted it in Amira's bedroom wardrobe. The next morning, the necklace was discovered missing. Security searched everywhere. Then they found it, tucked between Amira's clothes. No, Amira breathed. No, I didn't. I would never. But the evidence was damning. Even Mama Risi looked uncertain. Amira, Tade's voice was careful. How did this get in your room? I don't know. Tade, please, you have to believe me. Madame Augusta's laugh was cruel. Of course. The thief plays innocent. Tade, send her away before she steals more. Heartbroken, Amira packed her bags. Tade watched, torn between love and doubt. I love you, Amira whispered as she left. Even if you don't believe me anymore. Back in her cramped Yabo apartment, Amira wept until no tears remained. She had lost everything, again. A knock at her door. She opened it to find Madame Augusta standing there, cold and composed. Miss Adams, I have a proposition. For billion naira. Leave my son forever. Sign this agreement, take the money, disappear. Amira stared at the briefcase full of cash. For billion. More money than she'd see in 10 lifetimes. No, she said simply. Madame Augusta blinked. Excuse me. I don't love Tade for his money. I love him for his heart. You can't buy that. And you can't buy me. Amira's voice strengthened. I'm not leaving him. Even if he doesn't want me anymore, I won't betray what we had for cash. For the first time, Madame Augusta's mask cracked. She studied this poor girl who had just refused billions. You really love him, she whispered. With everything I am. Madame Augusta left without another word. Meanwhile, Tade couldn't rest. Something felt wrong. He ordered Kunnel to review all security footage from the gala night. And there it was, clear as daylight. Bola Martins, slipping into the jewelry room, pocketing the necklace, entering Amira's suite, planting it in the wardrobe. Tade's rage was biblical. Within hours, Bola was exposed publicly. News outlets ran the footage. Her endorsements evaporated. Her followers abandoned her. Police arrested her for theft and fraud. Tade raced to Yaba, burst into Amira's apartment. I'm sorry, he choked out. God, Amira, I'm so sorry. I should have trusted you. I should have. She kissed him silent. You're here now? That's what matters. Madame Augusta appeared in the doorway, her face softer than Tade had ever seen. Miss Adams, I was wrong about you. Deeply wrong. You have more nobility in your little finger than most aristocrats have in their entire bloodline. She knelt, actually knelt, before Amira. Forgive me, my daughter. 3 months later, on the rooftop of Eco Hotel, under a sky full of stars, Tade knelt before Amira with a ring, emerald-studded, blazing with light. Amira Adams, will you marry me? Yes. 1,000 times yes. Their engagement became national news. Mrs. Kafaya, watching from her small apartment after losing royal elegance to bankruptcy, could only weep. Tade and Amira visited the boutique one last time. Tade bought the property, fired Mrs. Kafaya personally for discrimination, and turned it into a skills training center for disadvantaged youth. Bola, facing 5 years in prison, sent one last message from her cell. I underestimated you. Amira never replied. The wedding was magnificent. Eco-Atlantic Pavilion, dignitaries, royalty, presidents. Mama Risi placed her family's coral crown on Amira's head, tears streaming. When your heart is pure, she whispered, heaven will always open doors. Tade presented Amira with a diamond necklace worth 12 billion naira. But more valuable was his whispered promise. Every day, I'll prove you chose right. And he did. In a world obsessed with status and wealth, Amira's story reminds us that kindness is the truest currency. She lost a job but gained a kingdom, not because she sought it, but because her heart remained pure when tested. Mama Risi taught us to see beyond appearances. Tade learned that real value can't be measured in bank accounts. And Amira proved that dignity costs nothing but means everything. Sometimes the universe rewards those who give without expecting return. Sometimes the beggar wears a crown hidden beneath rags. Sometimes love finds you when you're just trying to do what's right. Like, subscribe, share, and comment the lesson you learned.